Hey, what's going on YouTube? Today we got another deck profile. This time it's another first place list, technically, of Gate Guardian this time. I say technically because two of us ended up at the 4-0 record due to some drops and just number of rounds for the night. But him and I ended up playing and I ended up winning the match, so I'm going to count it as first place. But this is the Gate Guardian deck I played this past weekend. I wasn't actually expecting to be able to play it, to be 100% honest. My stuff hadn't come in the mail yet. I had pre-ordered the deck core, but more people than I thought opened it at my locals, and I was able to build it pretty much at the spot, so kind of just spent the money on the deck core for nothing. Not like it was a huge investment, but I guess I didn't have to. But this deck was like one of the most fun decks I have played in a long time. It's really just a cool feeling summoning some of these like extra deck monsters like the Gate Guardians combined. You know, there's really cool old boss monsters. And it really feels like an old style Yu-Gi-Oh deck where you're playing like a bunch of clunky cards and a consistent engine to keep going. So yeah, we're just gonna go and get right into it. 40 cards. This list is not perfect in my opinion because there's like 2 or 3 swaps I wish I had but just didn't have access to at the time. But there are 2 Sangha, 2 Suijin, and then 2 Kazajin. Really, the only one that needs to be at 2 in the deck is this one because this it connects to these 2 in this one, which are the 2 better ones in the deck, but I was too afraid of getting them banished face down off of Kashtira to not play all 6, because if you lose 2 of a certain piece then it's just kind of gone. If I'm not playing against Kashtira though, I typically side out at least Sangha, one of them, because he has the worst material. But Suijin has its uses with 2 of them because Wind and Water is just the best one, other than combined. So I try to keep 2 of this one in. I did cut it once or twice down to 1. Specifically when going first, just to reduce the amount of bricks in hand, because at the end of the day these are all just like garnets. Now they all have a really cool effect that when they get battled on your opponent's turn that they drop the attack of the attacking monster to 0, which definitely came up once or twice because people refused to read the cards, so that was neat. For the Gate Guardian support monsters, we had 3 Labyrinth Tank and 3 Ghoul. So, starting with Labyrinth Tank, this card is insane. The field spell and this are really the only way, field spell and this are like really the only way that your deck has any form of like late game grind, because this puts the pieces back on field instead of hand, and the only one that you can summon using materials on the hand is the combined. So being able to like have a card that gives you back the pieces onto the field is really good. Plus it's also just like a free destruction. If you get to have Labyrinth Wall, that never really came up. I only saw the card once the entire weekend. But Shadow Ghoul is crazy. Another one of those cards that has like a hidden layer text that whenever a monster battles while you have a Labyrinth Wall, you just could pop your opponent's monster, which is crazy. It helps you out a lot of bigger boards, because you don't always get to combined. I know that it seems like that you should always be able to get to combined, but a lot of times I would like to end my board with Wind and Water and Wind and Thunder and set up for the next few turns, because like this double negate for spells and traps that also probably got you an interrupt off of double attack Wind and Thunder. So there's 3 interrupts at minimum there that also just float down and back into their pieces. So yeah, that was the Gate Guardian monster ratio right there. And then for the support monsters, we're on 2 Magician Souls, 2 Illusion of Chaos, and then 2 Elemental Hero Prisma. So there was a lot of times where I wish I had the 3rd Souls in the deck, because Kazajin is a spellcaster, so there's synergy with that. Because just even normal summoning souls is really good. Like being able to send a bunch of extra pieces to the grave in the mid game is really good for Gate Guardians combined. And a lot of times you want to dump Cosgen over Illusion. So I wish I played 1 Illusion and 3 of the souls, and like as you'll see in the spells, played less prep. Prisma was insane. Every time this card's effect resolved, that game was pretty much a wrap. It gives you the easiest access to Gate Guardians combined. It's good as a Heroes Live. So I was able to start with Hero Lives and then activate Deployment and have Prisma as a normal summon at one point. Like, it was crazy. Like, you just get to set up all of the Gate Guardian monsters, which is really cool. That's it for the actual monsters, and then the last monster we're playing technically is Ash. This is the only interruption we're playing. The debate that I had was this or triple tax, because tax helps you like keep going. But I wanted a card that could just, if you know that at certain points in every matchup where Ash is the most detrimental, you can hit it. It felt like going into this that Branded would have a really good matchup into the deck, so I wanted that one card that I could just like sack draw that would make the matchup slightly lean back into my favor, because Branded Fusion is just a crazy strong card, obviously, so that was the reason I ended up on Ash instead of Tactics, solely because of that matchup. For the spells, we start with the Gate Guardian spells. We got 3 Labyrinth Wall Shadows, 3 Gate Guardian, or double attack Wind and Thunder, the Requari Guardian, and I will go ahead and throw this up here now. That's the one Jiraigumo, Prey of the Jiraigumo. So Shadow is absurd. None of the effects are once per turn. Realistically, you're obviously only ever going to trigger the effect to place a piece back as a multiple times, because like once your engine really gets flowing, you can set up multiple pieces. You really don't want to burn through all 3. Your hopeful, like realistic goal is to go through the first one, activate the second one, use it, then send it off with souls and keep the third one for the rest of the game, because there's no way to get it back. And this is really like the grind enabler. Also with the Thunder and Water fusion, it's easy to proc this card's third effect, which destroys a monster at 1600 or less attack at the start of the opponent's battle phase. And you'll just get to like incrementally keep going up in value. Like, the card is ridiculous. This card is also very powerful. Non-once per turn targeting destruction. Targeting destruction is obviously not as great as other effects, even simple as like targeting banish, but the fact that you have access to like up to 3 a turn is really cool. And then I can't pronounce it really, but Ryoku Guardian. You pay half your life points with Hero Lives, and normally I would play Destrudo with this list, but I didn't have a lot of testing to try out Destrudo for Ancient Fairy. I didn't want to play the FTK version of the deck. I felt like that was just kind of cheesy and unfun. So it's just a one of, but like, if you drop your half points by half with Hero Lives, and then your opponent all of a sudden goes to 4,000 with you, and then you just bop them with a 7750 Gate Guardians combined, is really funny. And Prey is actually something I really wish I played multiples of. The card I would probably cut for it is the Foolish Burial Goods I'm playing. Because this card, you can make it live pretty much all the time against extra deck based decks by putting one of the Gate Guardian fusions in the extra monster zone, and then you're guaranteed to set this in the other one, and then you just pop the first card they make in the extra monster zone, which you don't always want to pop the first one, but against certain decks like Sprite, where you can like deny them their other level monsters, and then you just like leave them with the sprint, you just pop the sprint, and they don't have a way to keep going, as an example. Not the best example, because they have a lot of extenders, but you get the idea. So I do wish I played 2 Jiraigumo. It did come up that the second one would have been really nice. For the support spells that overperformed every single time, 3 Fusion Deployment and 3 Hero Lives. Both of these cards are crazy strong. Don't really need to talk about them. It's pretty obvious. Like, these each act as an individual piece. Hero Lives is slightly worse than a fusion deployment, but you don't mind Hero Lives either because, like I said, you pay half your life points, which turns on this card, and life points don't really matter until they hit 0, so why wouldn't you play it? Then for the other spell supports, you got 2 Sacred Sword of 7 stars, 2 Preparation of Rites for the illusions, and the Foolish Burial. I didn't notice this in initial deck building when I was rushing to put it together because I had 10 minutes before the start of the tournament. But there wasn't a terraforming in here, and honestly I never really missed it just because you can dig for this card so easily and get to it so easily that you don't really need the terraforming. I certainly would have played it over this, but after much more testing and trying out, I would definitely probably cut the Foolish Burial Goods for a second Jiraigumo. The 2 of these were really nice. They complement the illusions. I would probably cut it down to 1 when I cut illusion down to 1 for the 3rd Magician Souls, and then I would probably play the terraforming in that spot, so that way I could still have the 2 Jiraigumo. 2 Sacred Swords is really nice. You really only need 2. You don't want to draw multiples because you can't resolve more than 1 in a turn, obviously. But a really cool aspect of the card is even in the late game or mid game, if you get to that point, Illusions is a level 7 to banish off a Sacred Sword, so there's a nice little synergy there. So that these are never dead, even if you choose to not dump them off of Magician Souls, which is the reason why I end up always dumping Kazagens, because they always have the interaction with Sacred Swords. Hero Lives at 3, probably could come down to 2 just because you can't have any cards on the field, or monsters rather, to activate it. So you probably would rather just play 3 Prisma, because the only other normal summon you have is Labyrinth Tank, and they basically function as the same card, except that you can banish this with Sacred Sword. And it actually happened the one time I drew this. I was able to activate this, place a piece, and use Sacred Sword and banish it, which was just an insane amount of value because you don't really need the card. You don't make exceeds because of the locks that Fusion Deployment provides. And yeah, we're going to go on and get into the extra deck now. The extra deck is certainly not perfect. I kind of just threw cards that I had out at the time together to make the extra deck. And I'll go over those changes in more detail here. So for the Gate Guardians, we got 3 Gate Guardians combined, 3 Gate Guardian, Wind and Thunder, and then 2 of the other 2. The reasoning behind playing this many Gate Guardian fusions, again, is Kashtira. The matchup seems really bad if you're playing second, because you just can't really out the board. You can't use your spells and trap zones to set up your pieces. Your pieces might get banished face down, so I wanted as many ways to out it as possible in the extra deck. So a lot of times you'll take this one because it's the one everybody knows is the double spell trap negate. But in reality, this is the best one in that matchup. And then so it's combined because you get to basically ignore Fenrir and Arise Heart for the entirety of the game. If going forward, I would probably cut each of these down and just play a 2-2-2 spread. And these would become more generic extra deck monsters, like a Lynx. Because there are a lot of times where I wanted more Link monsters, or even maybe more Exceeds. I'm not 100% sure what I would change around in the extra deck. I just know that I would change stuff because having this many fusions was pretty redundant. This one I did make. I did use all 3 though, which was nice. Never made all 3 Gate Guardian combined. It's pretty hard to do that. I think 2 is probably good for this. 2 of this definitely comes up. It's the next best one, and then this one never came up except for once, where you could summon it and use it with the field spell, and that feels pretty disgusting, honestly, but it doesn't come up enough for me to warrant playing 2. So this will probably also get cut down to 1. So the extra deck will probably just loosen up on 3 spots. So going forward, these could be just 3 flex spots, which would probably be links like Donner, BLS, or Access Code, just Link monsters that are generically good enough to play in a deck like this, and this would probably be my future Gate Guardian fusion ratio. This really should be all you need. I probably, I know I keep flip-flopping on it because it's just theory, but realistically, I'll probably still play 3 Wood and Water because this can summon this when it gets outed, and that seems pretty good to me. So that's it for the fusions. For the links that I played 2 Link Karibo and Anima. The Link Karibo is just solely here, obviously, for the Ibly lock if people are still playing it. There are multiple ways to do it in the format, so I just wanted to have the generic out for it, and then Anima for the Magician Souls. I did get to Anima a few people, which felt great. The card's pretty strong. And then I played 2 Xyz, being Big Eye and a Rise Heart. It's really cute that in the Cashier matchup, which is the one I'm fearing the most, you get the Big Eye, their Ira, or their Rise Heart, and then you get to put your own Rise Heart on top. It never came up, never played the matchup, but these are here just for that. Big Eye is also just, good. You can just use Big Eye and have it be a good card. You don't need an extra card for it. So Big Eye was fine, regardless. And then for the side, which I normally always rag on my side, saying that they're really bad, but this one was exceptionally bad because I didn't pay too much attention. I just threw the 15 best cards that were in front of me into my side, and I certainly missed out on a very important part, and we'll see if you can guess it. So starting with Gamma Seal, I ended up playing this over things like the Biru, because the most common post-board boards that Cashier make are just a Rise Heart Pass with back row. And you can't out that with Nibiru or any other Lava Golem type of FX, so I just played the Gamma Seals to out that. This is unfortunately the correct one to play. I would love to play Humongous just for the Sacred Swords interaction, but sometimes the attack stat becomes an issue in very awkward hands. So I played the Gamma Seal. If you don't really care for that type of the minute difference between attack and the level to outweigh the small amount of probability that this will be worse than Humongous, then you could play Humongous, but for the Sacred Sword interactions. But yeah, that was the reasoning for me playing Gamma Seal. It's I am very unlucky as a player, so yeah, that's why we play that. 3 Book of Eclipse. This is one of the more generic board breakers you could play. Dark Ruler probably would have been also very okay in this slot, but I wanted the Eclipse because it dealt with the greedy Kashtira boards, and it also dealt with just the greedier boards that other people can make. It's also just one of those cards that you can draw and break a board and then have this multiples, because you'll draw so much in your combo that you might draw the second one, and you can at least set this and attempt to interrupt the board going to the next turn. But I do kind of wish I just played Dark Ruler in this slot, or evenly matched. 3 Triple Tactics Talents. This is where this ended up. If Ash was in the main, this was in the side, and vice versa, so that's why that ended up here. I sided it in a lot, honestly. There's a lot of decks that play a ton of hand traps that you just get to out, or help play through because of talents. I used all 3 modes, so obviously card's broken. If you have copies of Thrust, which I don't own the card yet, because I'm not convinced that that's good, you could just trim down on these and play things like Change of Heart. But like I said, I'm not convinced that the card's all that great. I get that it's powerful and its faction searches one-ofs, and it can search extenders or things like that, but I mean, at the same time, it requires too much to even be able to use. It's solely better for going second, where Talents has the flexibility of first and second. I don't know. I'll probably need to test more with Thrust, but I've been very unimpressed every time it's been activated on me. 3 Judgments to help protect the board. Yeah, Judgment's Judgment. This could be Anti-Spell as well if you were wanting to switch stuff around. Anti-Spell would be pretty cute. You can still place your pieces in the spell and trap zone. The issue is you can't activate the Quick Play spell and activate Anti-Spell on the same turn. So you do lose some interruption there, and you definitely hurt your follow-up if your board gets broken. But it is pretty cute that things with Anti-Spell and other floodgates you can protect with the Gate Guardians combined. as long as it's not a board breaker. And then the last card I played was 3-Dimensional Barrier for just pretty much every matchup. This card's kind of like a metagame staple at the moment. But yeah, as you can tell with this, we did not play any like mass board breakers like Lightning Storm or Evenly Matched for the back row decks, and I really missed it. So I would definitely find room for those somewhere. This would probably this or this, honestly. These 9 were fantastic. Every time I cited them, these like had the instances where they weren't the greatest. But yeah, definitely need to play something like Evenly, because this deck, despite it having a bunch of big goofy idiots, is not good enough at breaking a board. So yeah, that's the first take of the Gate Guardian deck here on the channel. As I've said before, I really just enjoy playing these fun, casual rogue decks that have some potential. Like this archetype is very cool. You know, Gate Guardian's a classic among the old Yu-Gi-Oh fans, and this is no exception. Like, it's just a lot of fun to play. The combos are really cool. Being able to say Gate Guardian, like attack with Gate Guardian, is just so much fun. This will definitely get updated, unlike some of the other rogue decks I upload where I play them once or twice and then just kind of never play them again, because I genuinely feel like this deck has a decent chance to be good. Not meta, like not tier 1, but you know, just like a very solid rogue deck, because the points of interaction with these two are very crazy. And I really think that going forward, this deck, once people start fine-tuning every minute variant, like possible outcome of things like with ratios, this deck can only get just so much better. Like, it has like a much higher ceiling than most decks just because of what you can do with it. And I'm very excited to go along with that and figure out what the best way to play it is. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. It's a little bit of a longer video just because I had to explain some of the cards for people who may not have read them or may not have been thinking, like certain pieces of the deck. Let me know in the comment section what you think. This is a very fun deck. I tried to get some videos of it, but it was just too loud at locals this weekend. We had a Warhammer event going on along with Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic, so weekly uploads for dual videos will probably not be a possibility just because of the nature of my locals, but we'll try to get as many as we can. Again, with this week, we won't be playing this week. We have another deck in mind, but if you'd rather see this on the channel, just let me in the comment section down below, and I can definitely make that a reality. Like I said, I just really enjoy playing this deck. It's one of the most fun I've had in a while. So, thanks for watching. Peace, YouTube.